What's up, everybody, and welcome to It Just Means More Football and Coffee. I'm Rob Williams, wearing shades so you can't see if I'm looking at you or the road. He's Craig McMichael. We're here with another episode to talk about SEC football and beyond. Craig, we've been on for a couple minutes, but we haven't discussed our coffee. I'm drinking Maxwell House in the Dad Fuel Cup today. What's going on with you? Oh, man, it's a work day.
We leveled up. We went to Body Armor. We hit the Peloton this morning. So now we hit the coffee early. Now we're going to our new sponsor for It Just Means More Football and Coffee with a splash of Body Armor. Body Armor.
I like it.
It's just
like
it. Gatorade.
What's the flavor? What are we rocking?
I got Tropical Punch. I usually get the red kind or apparently the yellow kind.
Yeah. I love
What's your favorite color Gatorade?
Gatorade, lemon lime, and there's no debate. Yeah. It's the original and it's the best, and that's the end of the discussion.
Which lemon lime? Okay, so I'll be so I was funny. So when I was coaching for 15 years at my first stop, it was like you couldn't wear orange no matter where you went because our rival was orange. What's my favorite Gatorade color?
I can relate.
Orange. Yes, orange. Orange. So orange is always my favorite when there's an option. Lemon lime is good. You can keep your frost, you can keep your blue, your green, all that good stuff. Give me red, yellow, or orange.
The originals. Honestly.
It is.
Hey, I'm conditioned to dislike all things orange. That includes consumable items. So I'm not a big orange flavor guy. I think it's something subliminal from my childhood. I have a buddy who is a big Louisville guy, and he likes nothing blue. No blue flavoring, no blue raspberry, icy, nothing. It's just repulsive. So it just comes with the territory. Yeah, can't do it. Can't do it. Hey, let's jump in this morning because the reality is things are continuing to heat up in the college football landscape. There may be less things to talk about on the field right now, but more things to talk about off the field and what's going to shape the game. Reports last week coming out that the Big 12 leading the way on potentially shopping out their naming rights to the conference. Little extra dollars in the pocket. I'll toss into this discussion recently approved sponsored patches on uniforms. And so let's talk about how things are going to look and how things are going to shift if we allow it to become the insert Mark Cuban business name here, Big 12 Conference, or whoever decides to sponsor them. I think Chime sponsors the Dallas Mavericks, so we'll go with the Chime Big 12.
That's Amazon, by the way. That's Amazon. Amazon's Chime. So
let's the Amazon Big 12. Go ahead.
So let's just start with this. Who's still alive? The Pac-12 or the Big 12?
The Big 12, for a reason.
Brett, your mark is your reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Innovation.
100%.
Yeah. Innovation and leadership. That's why when Greg Sankey becomes the commissioner of all of college football, your mark's got to come over to the SEC and continue to innovate, actually with big dollars rather than just playing in the sandbox. But, hats off to Brett Yormark. Continuing to innovate. He went out there. He's got, the 4 best AAC schools. He went and got the 4 best Pac-12 schools, outside of, USC, Washington, and Oregon going to the Big Ten. Yormark continues to innovate, continues to try to figure out what can he do to keep the Big 12 relevant. So with that, though, we're looking at Allstate Insurance. So it's going to be called the Allstate 12, despite having 16 teams. They don't want to call it the Allstate Big 12 because when you look at things like the Sugar Bowl, do you say the Allstate Sugar Bowl or do you say we're going to the Sugar Bowl? If the Gamecocks theoretically ever would go to something like that.
You definitely say we're going to the Sugar Bowl.
Yep.
The only
and
bowl
that's
games
what
that you call by sponsorships are the ones who don't have any history.
what are you talking about? The PlayStation Rose Bowl, remember that?
Yeah, for sure.
But
Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, that one flowed a little better.
it did, but it's just weird. Like,
No,
I was listening to our friends Pat Forty and Dan Wetzel and Ross Dellinger, and they were talking about that members of the Big 12 said that we're going to stick with the number 12 because people, when they hear 12, they think of the Big 12. So, like we're the big is able to get rid of, but it just sounds weird, man. Like the All-State 12, like I don't care one way or the other. But like it should be the All-State Big 12 or whatever the heck it is. I think that should be interesting. So yeah, let's hear your thoughts on Yormark and just initial reactions to what's going on.
well, I'll start with Bob Bowlesby, who preceded Yormark, and I think he really did some things to hold the conference together right there at the end of his tenure around the COVID pandemic, and then moving into Yormark. I think that the Big 12 has remained the most fun conference in the country over the past 4 or 5 years, just from a competitive standpoint. You get competitive football week in and week out. There's parity. It's what people are looking for. So for as far as an on-field product goes, I think they're doing a great job. I think that he has to look outside, like you said, outside of the norm, and he has to be innovative. And there's going to be great value for him when inevitably this conference folds and you get the two power conferences taking over and expanding the SEC and Big Ten to take over all of the nation in college football. The Big Ten is well on their way to having a national footprint, but we'll get there when we get there. I love what Yormark has been doing. Here's my question when it comes to I have two questions that I want to try to sneak in with you on naming rights with conferences. First of all, question number one, let me precede it by stating, I think that you and I both can sit here today. You and I both can sit here and pat Brett Yormark on the back. We can talk about how this is a great move, how it's innovative, how it's going to keep the Big 12 alive for longer. He kind of puts his name on the evolution of college football in this way. But the question becomes, how much does this upset the traditionalists? We heard from Gramps last week about his opinions on NIL and the transfer portal and definitely realignment. And so we're losing some tradition in college football. I think that some pieces will stay in place and some pieces will continue to fade. Is there going to be an uprising of fandom? Not that it means anything. I think we established that last week, but just on the message boards and Twitter world, is there going to be this massive pushback to losing some sort of tradition if you lose the word big, if it becomes the Allstate 12? And then I'll give a teaser to my next question if the SEC also becomes a sponsored league.
Sure. Yeah. So first and foremost, I think you get that initial reaction and then it becomes normal. Like we joked about the PlayStation Rose Bowl or whatever the heck it is, the Sony Rose Bowl. I don't even know who sponsored it this year.
I don't either.
I think your traditionalists are more upset that the Outback Bowl is now the Reliant Care Bowl or whatever the heck it is in Tampa. I still call it the Outback Bowl.
And that's an example of a bowl that is called by its sponsor.
Right.
What's that?
Jadeveon Clowney. Remember that? Remember that hit? Vincent Smith?
It seems a little foggy. Can you clip it? Is there some type of right infringement if we insert it right here in our YouTube feed? Yes, of course I remember the hit that made and ruined Jadeveon Clowney's career all in one fell swoop.
It did. And you know what? Like, so from a traditional aspect, you're going to get the pearls, clutching, and everything else, but they're still going to come to the game. But what it's going to do, it's going to get you more dollars. Now, to kind of dig into your other point, the one who's caught with his, with his hands in the air saying, "Oh my God, we have to move," is your ACC commissioner, Jim Phillips. Once again, caught flat-footed, not doing anything. Like, oh, maybe this is a good idea. And what it's going to do, it's going to give more dollars to those conferences. You're going to see a further move away from those group of 5 teams. But what's going to happen? The SEC and the Big Ten aren't talking about this yet for one simple reason. They're not ready to. Because you know as well as I do, if the Big 12 is worth $500 million over 10 years, the SEC and the Big Ten is probably worth $1 billion. So, like, that's the thing. So that's the thing. The Big 12, the ACC could sell those rights. They're going to get close to the SEC and the Big Ten. But what's going to happen as soon as those naming rights go to the SEC, as soon as they go to the Big Ten, that gap's just going to continue to grow. It's just going to kind of move in relation to one another. So, does it hurt anything? No. I mean, who cares, right? Like,
I don't care.
It's part of who we are. How often are we asking for sponsorships? Maxwell House, Body Armor, Strange Brew Coffee, Starkville, Mississippi. That was a week 1 call out.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. I think that it's just a matter of adjustment. Like, I think people are going to lose their minds. Honestly, I think people are going to lose their minds with patches on jerseys. I think if you put a patch on an Alabama jersey, on a Notre Dame jersey, on a Michigan jersey, the prestige and on a USC jersey, on the iconic image that is the Navy jersey with the gold helmet and nothing else really there. And now we're going to put a decal on it because Meineke Car Care wants to sponsor Notre Dame or whatever the case may be, right? Like, people are going to lose their minds.
What's the Vatican sponsor Notre Dame? Is that okay? You get like touchdown Jesus.
They still wouldn't like it. They still wouldn't like it because it would just soil the perfection of the uniform. But here's the thing. It'll be a year or two and we won't even notice. I completely agree with you. I feel the same way about this allowing the concussion caps over the helmets. People are, oh, what do we think about this? It's just Twitter fodder. Like, can I get a click? Can I get a retweet? Can I get an interaction? What do we think about this? I think it's terrible. It looks awful. We're ruining the game. It's not changing anything. We got the picture of the Georgia prototype with the concussion cap, and they put the G on the side. And so all it was it was a red cap over the helmet with the G on. They're just going to logo these things, and it's going to be fine. And in 3 years, and I tweeted this out months ago when that argument started, we're not even going to think about it. It's like how helmets have evolved over the course of history. This is just another step. And it's the same thing with branding and patches on jerseys. I think about, like, what I wouldn't like to see, just the purist or traditionalist in me, is I don't want this to go to a soccer looking jersey or a WNBA style where you have the sponsor bigger than the team logo in the middle of the jersey. There's a potential for that.
That's the interesting part, though. It's like, it's accepted, right? Like, I knew Manchester United used to be Vodafone. It's somebody else. I think it's Standard Bank now, whatever. But that's that's the name. Or you watch F1. Yeah, it's huge, and that's how you know it's a jersey. You have the crest and the name, and to me, it's like, it's where we're going. If we want wrestling, lacrosse, cross country to survive, this is the necessary evil. And while those traditionalists may not care about those sports, there are some people like me who very much love those sports. And guess what? It's not going to ruin the experience, because at the end of the day, it's about what's going on in the field. We fell in love with football for a reason. It doesn't matter about it. And, speaking of, patches on a jersey, TCU could use something. I think they're coming off, they've sobered up off of whatever, got them to the Hypnotoad. They were licking a frog. They went on a psychedelic trip, and they lost all creativity. I mean, it literally looked like when you were, you ever get the East Bay magazine when you were in high school?
Absolutely.
It literally looked like the East Bay magazine. Here's your blank uniform. Let's get it set up. So, like,
Yeah.
like
They took their
throw,
diamond
throw
collar. They took their diamond collar away, which was kind of their trademark look. It's just a strange,
Yeah, I would have done the
strange
diamond
move.
collar. Drew and I were talking about that on Twitter. I would have done the diamond collar on the pants. Something just a solid pant just never looks right for me. And I am a uniform snob. Just ask my lacrosse friends. I can't stand even when we have matching tops and bottoms. I like to go a little two-tone. I think that elevates it up a little bit. But yeah, I mean, like I said, sponsorship, it's coming. The
That's what
SEC is,
TCU is ahead of the game. TCU is ahead of the game. They're making room for sponsorships. They are actually preparing for a NASCAR style full patched uniform with 100 sponsors so they can elevate their program and get the heck out of the Allstate 12.
Dallas's finest, just another swipe away Pony Express. But yeah, no, I like I said, I think this is a good thing. Is there going to be conflict? Sure. Is there going to be problems? Sure. Like the other question is too, how does this impact Allstate's marketing budget? You look at all of those field goals, whether you're wide right, Ohio State, or whether you make them. Sorry, Ohio State was wide left, my bad. But those Nets always have the All-State good hands. They still going to sponsor that, or is that up for grabs? The other
Yep.
question becomes too, we've got naming rights on the field. Are we going to put something on the 20 in the red zone? Are we going to put something, at the 50?
Well, here's the thing for me. It's already been audible because if you listen to a local radio broadcast of any team, or you watch it nationally televised, then there's a red zone sponsor, there's a touchdown sponsor, there's a play of the game sponsor. And so if I'm listening to it and I'm listening to South Carolina football and it's the Terminix Pest player of the game, then or it's the
I love
whatever.
South Carolina's announcers, by the way. Like Westwood, like I used to listen to them on Westwood One. Those guys are awesome. Those guys are phenomenal.
What's the difference between us calling everything that and us painting it on the field? Maybe size. Like, we don't want to take up a huge portion of the field. They're not going to do that anyway. It would distract from the gameplay.
Yeah, it's going to be fine. Listen, it'll be okay. I think that's our goal today, is to let everyone know. Go grab another cup of coffee. Go get another biscuit. Yeah, I think it'll be cool. So let's have some fun with it now. You're the SEC.
This was my question. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Who is it?
Who's going to sponsor it?
Man, there's a lot of things that can happen here, right? I think about the Southeast and the footprint. Who has the cash to do it? Because my initial thought is, who's your demographic? Because if it's the SEC, then you're primarily advertising to the Southeast of the United States. So then I think about companies that would have more benefit from doing that. But then when I list out some of those companies in my mind, I don't know that they have the resources to shell out $1 billion over however many years that the deal is going to be. So then my head goes to some other big players in the game, somebody on the level of an Amazon or YouTube TV who does the NBA finals and has done really well in branding and sponsoring it. Somebody on that type of level is what I think it takes to get it done. I think about a YouTube TV, though, not necessarily that they would be the ones, but we want to talk about a business that is connected to Google, it's connected to YouTube, and so it's not really this fledgling company that's trying to up and make it. But in the original couple of years, in the genesis of the YouTube TV cut the cord era, we saw them emerging as one of the players in this streaming world that was going to package channels together for us and give us a streaming cable. You could have direct, you could have your AT&T Spectrum, whatever streaming services that are just the same cable companies or satellite companies, but they're doing streaming now. But YouTube TV comes out and does something different and gives you some extra options. And one of the things that was so impressive to me was when they were still in the fight to scratch and claw and get to the top of that streaming platform world, they grabbed the NBA playoffs, they grabbed the NBA finals, and became the official sponsor of that. This year, by 2024, it makes tons of sense for them to sponsor that. It's on ABC. They got tons of money. It's very successful. YouTube TV has taken off. But when they grabbed it a few years ago, I feel like they were still in the stages of really trying to gain traction with people, and that did it. So it turns my head to companies that are doing well, but maybe need just a little more exposure to blast off. And this is a way of making an investment for them. So I can see you grinning. So you have some thoughts in your head. What are you thinking?
Disney's Southeastern Conference, the happiest conference on earth.
That would keep it all in the family, wouldn't it?
It would.
And they definitely have the money.
Listen, let the wizard come out from behind the curtain.
So to my point, and let's combine our thoughts here. What if an offshoot piece of Disney sponsors the SEC and Disney uses the SEC as a vehicle to promote something else they're doing, even if it's Disney Plus, which they've lost money on.
Not in my household.
Or maybe it's mine too. Maybe it's every day, or maybe it's something else that they have an upstart piece of the company that they want to tag it onto the SEC and let the SEC be the vehicle that launches it. I mean, it would make a lot of sense.
The other one I was thinking was Chevy trucks.
I mean, that would make sense too. That one makes a lot of sense to the demographic, for sure.
100%. 100%. Like that's what I was thinking. Like I'm going big picture. Like that's where I was thinking. It was like big picture. Sure, Disney maybe. Like I don't know if the SEC aligns necessarily to like Amazon and Google per se. It does. It's dollars and cents. But to me, that's like Chevrolet. Like you think the official truck of the SEC.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can just tailgates everything else. Like it just makes sense. Like to me, that all ties together.
Okay, I've got one more for you that I think we could see potentially in one of these conferences. Maybe the SEC, maybe Jim Phillips wises up and gets it done. But the recently ascended number 2 soda brand in the world, Dr. Pepper, huge tie-in already. With college football, with all of the commercial storyline that they have going on with Fansville and that whole piece. I could see them elevating. And as my wheels spin, that goes to Home Depot as well in College Game Day. Could they maybe be a player and get involved where they're already so heavily involved with that? Yeah, I mean, Coke would make a lot of sense, especially coming out of
leave Pepsi for the Big Ten because no one really likes it.
Yeah. I can see Coke, especially with Atlanta ties.
So we're talking conference. So I think this has happened. We agree it's a good thing. For our last word, when we go to individual team sponsorships, who is sponsoring the South Carolina Gamecocks? Is it Dabo?
We'll be right back with the last word on It Just Means More Football and Coffee. Hilarious. Yeah, Pate's title on the podcast the one that just came out was Dabo's legacy, and it's like, what if he retires right now? Very interesting. All right, we're back with It Just Means More Football and Coffee. I'm Rob Williams at Rob Williams GCP, and he is Craig McMichael at McMicah7, all platforms. We're excited to be here with you to wrap it up here with the last word. Always a nod to last word on sports and last word on college football. Excited to be here. Hey, last word. Let's talk individual teams. Let's talk Gamecocks. Let's talk Bulldogs. I've got a great sponsor for Georgia in mind. But if we go to the Gamecocks, first and foremost, we're looking at stuff in the state of South Carolina, are we not? Like that's probably
That's
where
what I'm
it
thinking.
where it happens. And something like Colonial Life, we already have Colonial Life Arena where the Gamecocks play basketball. Home base is there in Columbia, and so I could see something like that playing a major role in sponsoring of the Gamecocks. Georgia, however, let's be honest, Craig, bigger brand, national brand. So I'm thinking a bigger scale here. Your thoughts on who could sponsor the Georgia Bulldogs? And if you're stumped, you just kick it right back over to me because I'm locked and loaded.
You know what? I'll kick it to you in just a sec because I'm going to go with Georgia Power. To me, I feel like from a branding perspective, it makes too much sense to have the Georgia Power. University presents University of Georgia, Georgia Bulldogs, whatever. Georgia Power. That is the one that makes so much sense. But I'm sure yours is so much better. So why don't you enlighten us with yours?
Look, Athens is a special place where, it just feels like the traditional college football town. You have a team that has been dominant on the national scene. It is a destination for college students to go and be a part of this tradition and the feel of Athens. But there's something in the water down there that gets people behind the wheel of their vehicles with the pedal to the metal and gets them into some trouble. So how about the Uber sponsor for the Georgia Bulldogs to keep everybody on the right page, to stay safe? Call Uber. I think it works. It'd be a great spin for Kirby.
Did you hear how hard he tried to set that? Hang on, folks. Just listen. Did you hear like how hard he was building it? He was going through. I mean, he literally sounded like Butch Jones, brick by brick. Champ.
Yeah, that's tough.
Champions for life.
Tough.
With that joke, I mean, get yourself together real quick. Yeah. Okay. Cool. We can do Uber. We can do Lyft. That's good. Don't set that up so bad. But yeah, I'm going Georgia Power. Here's the other thing. Did you see Brent Key's comments this week about Georgia Tech? Brent Key, head coach of Georgia Tech.
No.
He was like talking smack. He's like, I hate Georgia, blah blah. He's like, running his mouth. It's like, dude, just calm down, Brent. Go have a biscuit. I'm sure we still got some Waffle House credits from Jeff Collins. Go get yourself a coffee. Go get yourself some smothered and covered.
Hey,
calm down.
Big fan of Waffle House coffee. And Waffle House, if you're listening, if you'd like to sponsor us, we will have Waffle House branded cups and coffee on the show every single week. If you'd
Maybe
like
you
to
can get a Waffle House closer than Toledo to Detroit. That's an hour and a half Waffle House.
If you can get that going, we would love it. But we do know that Waffle House does no advertising, so I think we're kind of probably out of luck on that. All right, look, hey, Brent Key probably needs to keep his mouth shut because I don't think he's on the level of Georgia yet. But don't sleep on the Yellow Jackets. They got something brewing in Atlanta. Okay. So we'll see what they got. We'll see what they can come up with this year.
Week one, they're playing the Panthers. Look out. Del McGee coming. He's got his Gucci. He's got his Louis.
I think year one might be a little steep for Dell to go in there and get that done, but I wouldn't put it past him in a couple of years.
No kidding. Do you know how just stocked that cabinet was from the great Sean Elliott, who has come in to revitalize the Gamecock running game?
I mean, I can't argue with that one, Craig. I can't argue with you there. Hey,
see?
We are looking forward to the Allstate 12 and whatever becomes of the SEC and the other conferences around the nation as this naming rights discussion develops. We want to see the Disney SEC, the Disney SEC conference. Do we lose Southeastern? Or does Sankey put his foot down? Well, you're losing big. You're losing big in the All-State 12.
No, yeah, that's because you're the Big 12 and not the Southeastern Conference. Home
be
Depot's
interesting.
SEC. Oh my gosh. I'm switching from Disney to Home Depot, and the theme song comes back, but Gary stays in the Big Ten. Do it.
You know, Home Depot is definitely a player in this conversation. There's no doubt about it. Tied in with College Game Day and ESPN already. Here we are. All right,
I
guys.
used to wear it. I wore orange apron in college. I was a Home Depot guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you take that?
Yeah.
Did you
What
take
is
that? Did you take that?
Really? What does that mean?
Well,
Really? Like,
I'm just.
you actually work for a living.
No, it was really. I hate Home Depot because they're orange, and that's what I was about to tie us full circle and go. I hope you didn't bring your apron to that early coaching job and sport it to support your rival. So let's stay away from orange, and we'll all be all right. It's been a great day here on It Just Means More Football and Coffee. You let us know your thoughts. Leave us a 5-star review, but also comment and tell us who do you think should sponsor the SEC when this deal inevitably moves forward. Craig has his hand up. Yes, Mr. McMichael.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Banana.
Banana
Knock,
who?
knock.
Who's there?
Banana.
No.
Knock, knock.
No, banana who?
Aren't you glad I didn't say banana?
No,
That's how you
bananas,
set it up.
And I hate oranges. I love bananas, hate oranges. It's been a good day. I'm Rob Williams. He's Craig McMichael. This is It Just Means More Football and Coffee. We'll see you next week.